you weren't okay with what we did yesterday, then today would be a lot tougher. So I wanted to talk to you guys about this. So I appreciate, Luke asking a question about, so number 8. So it says our loan is $68,000, or sorry, $6,800, so $6,800. We're at a 6% interest rate monthly for 3 years. So we have to figure out what they're going to pay monthly, what their monthly payment is going to be. And we did this yesterday in our notes. And again, we need to know how to do this so that we can do today's lesson. So that's why I wanted to make sure we went over this if needed. So the loan amount is this $6,800. So we didn't have to take any down payment off or anything like that. We have to figure out the percent divided by the number of payments in a year. So I'm going to just go up here with this. So this is 6%. It's monthly, so there's 12 payments in a year. So 2% is what we're looking at on the table. So that's when you guys have to pull out that table. It was a big sheet of paper, just had, And so we go to the 2% column, but then the period is how many times they're going to be paying. So monthly for 3 years, so that's going to be 12 times 3, so that's going to be 36 times. So I go down to the 36, over to the 2%, and that's 0.039. And that number gets multiplied by what our loan is. So that's going to tell us our monthly payments. And what we're going to do, with that today is we're going to basically figure out how much of our monthly payment is actually going to our loan and how much we're actually just paying in interest. So this should be, did I do that right? I have 266, is that right? Did anyone check that? Yeah? Is that what it ended up being? 266.76. Should be our monthly payment then. But again, we need to know how to do that to do what we're doing today. So I wanted to make sure we talked about it. Again, probably the most common payments are going to be monthly payments that you guys would do if you were taking out a loan. Most of us wouldn't choose to pay quarterly or semi-annually or annually. That just isn't the way we would choose to do our loans. So I'll pass out our notes for today. And we're still in section 12.4, and there's actually one more section in this chapter, so there's still 12.5 that I think I plan on doing tomorrow and then reviewing. So I'm thinking a test on Tuesday for this chapter. You guys could take a minute to look at the warm-up question and our ACT.
Actually, is this the one from
yesterday? That's from yesterday. Okay. That was yesterday's homework. And then
I was just going to borrow this one because I know.
Keep flipping. Flip it.
it's Friday.
Yeah.
It's not Friday yet, so I'm still tired.
We were just discussing like the community service day, just that like that being on a Friday. I don't know why that seemed like 2 days in one. I think it's because we had all 4 classes, so it felt like we'd been through a whole day. Because I mean, some of you guys were like, I still get to eat lunch. Like, I mean, it just seems like mentally like draining for a whole day, and then we still had more stuff to do.
Yeah.
As much as I mean, I like that day. I just think it.
Look, I was still tired in this class, and it was like
Yeah.
11. I was tired in this class.
All right. So, the warm-up question, it tells us that points B and C lie in segment AD, and they give us AD is 32 long, so that's this whole thing. So on an ACT type question, or any multiple choice question, I think some people tend to just want to, they look for an answer that makes sense and guess really quick. On something that has a drawing, I would love to mark it up so that I can tell what's going on with it. The segment AC is 23 long, so that's this. BD is 27 long. Can we determine how long BC is? Yeah, what do you think?
Well, I don't know if it would work or not, but if you took 27 minus 23, would that
27 minus
work?
23.
No, that
I don't know, we might end up using that somehow, but I'm going to show you guys, like, kind of break this down a little bit differently. So I believe you can determine. Initially, I kind of thought maybe not, but I'm going to show it this way first. So I'm going to get C out of there. I'm going to show it this way without, well, yeah, let's do it this way first. So let's do A, B, and D. So ignore C for right now. So this is 27, and this is 32, right? Can I figure out what AB is? I know that, yeah. Because the whole thing's 32, the bigger part's 27, so AB would be 5. Yes, if we can subtract, it's 5. So that's 5. I can do the same thing with CD. So I'm going to go on the other side and figure out what CD is. So I'm going to ignore B. So the whole, so A to C is 23, and then the whole thing's 32. So what's CD? What's CD going to be then? 9. So if I know those two, can't I find that middle one? Yeah, the whole thing adds up to 32. I've used 5 here, I've used 9 there, so that's 14. And so then I'm left with 18, right? I think BC should be 18. So initially looking, probably likely that you make it kind of a wild guess, or you say, oh, that can't possibly happen. Break it down into different parts. It doesn't hurt to draw more pictures than you need. So like if you look at it that way, if you don't need to draw that, you can just visually tell what's going on, that's fine as well. All right, so we talked a little bit about the interest formula. We're going to use that more today. So I'm going to remind you guys of the interest formula from yesterday. I'm going to remind you what everything stands for. So I is obviously interest. The word interest is there. Now interest is what you pay the bank for having a loan. So interest is basically the extra stuff that if you had cash, you wouldn't have to worry about interest. So interest is what you pay the bank for a loan. So if we all had tons and tons of money, we wouldn't have to worry about paying the bank interest typically. We'd probably be able to pay cash. But then we'd probably be getting interest ourselves by earning interest. So you can earn interest, you can pay interest. We're going to talk about what we're paying to the bank right now. The P is called the principal, and we're not talking about the principal of a school. We're talking about how much we start with. So the word principal, I don't think you need to know that. P is your starting value, or what you're trying to figure out, is the value you're working with. But the word principal, I don't think like makes you think, oh, that means the starting amount. So I think it's just easier just to call P the starting amount. R is the, rate.
Job.
And then T is time. So those other ones kind of make sense. I feel like the P is the one that's like, we're going to use this formula today, and what we're doing to figure out like our interest rate and like how much, how much we're paying interest on each month, and then kind of figure out at what point am I, done paying off interest? Where am I actually paying off my car, my house, whatever it happens to be? So we'll talk more about kind of that property loans today. So talking about things that we could move versus tomorrow we'll talk about real estate, like home loans. And again, right now, most of you guys aren't too worried about this, but it's worth thinking about because we're actually going to talk about having good credit and poor credit and how much that can affect how much you actually pay for something. So someone with good credit will pay less for a house than someone that has bad credit. We'll talk about that. So I'm actually using the exact same problem we talked about yesterday. So Brian's Jeep. So remember, he brought that Jeep for $34,960, including all taxes. He made a down payment of $4,200 and financed the rest at a rate of 6% per year for 3 years. So yesterday, I asked you guys to find the monthly payment using the table. And so we're going to do that again today. But then what we're going to do is we're going to basically start figuring out his next few payments and how much is actually going to the Jeep and how much is just going straight to the bank with that payment. So we're going to review what we did yesterday. So if you guys recall, yesterday we figured out the loan amount. So we had to subtract these two numbers. We had to figure out how much he's actually financing. So this was, again, this is a review from yesterday. So he's financing a total of $30,760. Remember, we figured out that he actually was paying quite a lot per month because he was only doing a 3-year loan. So again, kind of flipping back to this, we were doing 6% over 12 months. So that was considered 2% on our table for 36 months. So we went to our table that was still from yesterday. 2% for 36 months is exactly what we did yesterday. And that gets multiplied by the amount of our loan. Sorry, I should move this over. Oh, wait, that doesn't sound right. What did I do wrong? Was it I don't remember this being our loan. It was like 1,200, no, that's not right, is it? What did I mess up? Anyone have their notes from yesterday? What did I do wrong?
What the percentage be a half?
Oh, it's a half, it's not 2%, thank you. 6 over 12 is not,
Yeah, it should be 0.0304.
thank you. I'm blaming being tired.
What?
Those are Mr. Smarty Pants over here.
Thank goodness for Will. All the rest of you today are in the same boat as me. Half. There we go. Thank you, Miss Miller. And then Miss Miller will put her on the good list too.
Also point to your Will deserves to be on the extra good list.
With those lens.
We're so thankful for Will.
No, you're
I
not.
am.
No, you're not.
Well, stop disrespecting women.
What would your dog? I mean, obviously your dog would enjoy you being at home, but what would we do without you? 9, 3, 5.
Not care? I don't know.
All right. So I'm glad we did this yesterday because there's a monthly payment. It sounded wrong. I said like $1,200. So, $935. Still a lot, but still, it's worth thinking about here in terms of having the right number. I even had it in front of me. I don't know why. Okay. What we need to do is we're going to figure out how much they're actually paying in interest. So he's paying $935 his first month on his car loan. But a big chunk of that's actually going to go straight to the bank. So the bank is going to get a big chunk of the interest right away. So what we're going to figure out is how much interest is going to be paid to the bank in that first month. So we're going to use the interest formula. So that's the formula we just wrote down. The I equals PRT. So the starting amount is what his loan is. So this $30,760. The rate is the 6% that he's paying for his interest. So now we're going back to that 6%. We write it as a decimal. But then the time, typically it's time in years, but we want to know just for the first month. So how would I write just a first month? How much of a year is that? 1/12, kind of a strange thing here. So just part of a year we're paying for right now, just the 12th. So we're going to multiply that, and that's how much interest we're actually paying that first month. And just so you guys know, 1/12, I just divide by 12 instead of writing times a 12. So $153.80, it goes straight to the bank. So the bank that first month gets $153.80 just for interest. So that's basically money that we're kind of just throwing away. It's not going towards our Jeep. So the balance due after 1 month is basically how much more do we still owe on the Jeep. So we take our starting balance, or the amount we financed, but we only get to take off, we don't get to take off that full payment. We only get to take off the part that actually goes towards the Jeep. So we're going to take these two and subtract them. We're going to figure out how much is just going to that Jeep. Yep. Yeah, it's new mistake. Yeah. So this is kind of a little disheartening at this point to find out that not all of our money is even going towards our car. So this is $781.92. So that's what we get to take off of our, what we owe on our car. So we're under 30,000. But that's the good news is that's the most the bank will ever get from us. Every month, the amount we're paying in interest is going to go down a little bit more and a little bit more. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show now in the second month how that changes. So they want us to repeat steps B and C for the second month. And we're actually going to do an example like this out of your homework tonight before you guys go, so you guys can see how that works. So I'll do one of the homework type questions with you guys so you can see it. So we're gonna repeat this again. So now, we're gonna do the I equals PRT, but our new principal is now this amount. This is the amount we owe now. So for the second month now we're taking that 29,000 we're paying 6% interest still, but only for a month. So we're gonna give less to the bank this month. A little bit less, but still less. Something. So 149.89 is what's going to the bank. That's our interest to the bank. But our monthly payment is still that same amount, still the $935.72. So now we're going to take the $935.72 and figure out what we're going to actually go towards our vehicle. So a little more this month gets to go towards the car. So the interest is 149, so the 785 is now we get to pay towards the car, but we get to take our previous amount and take that off. So it's kind of like we're chipping away at what we owe on this car each month. And so what your loan can do for you is they can actually show you a table that shows you each month like how much we're paying down on our car and then how much like we're actually still paying to the bank. It gets less and less depressing each month. Or we owe more of the car and we're giving the bank less and less money each month. So after the second month, we would owe $29,192.25 on our truck, our Jeep, the vehicle. Okay? I think I'm losing you here. All right, and like I said, I'm going to show you guys how to do this in our homework. They kind of make it as like a little table to show like how we're paying that down, and I'll show you guys an example of that. I think I have that anyway. All right, so if you guys want to flip the page over, we just have one more example to do with this, and then like I said, I'll do some on your homework. Like I'm not going to do a homework problem with you, but I'll do a problem that's on your homework sheet, so you guys have that. All right, so if you flip your page over, there's another little table here. Like, I love all these tables. All right, so Jeff has to borrow $12,800 for 48 months to buy a truck. He can finance at 8% per year if he has excellent credit, but 15% per year if he has poor credit. So this is real life. So again, when you go to apply for a home loan, I got a certain percentage of a credit because of the fact that I had good credit versus like my sister was like struggling a little bit to kind of like she had never owned a house before, so her credit wasn't very good, and she was trying to apply for a house loan, and her interest rate was going to be a lot higher, and so we kind of told her to kind of get her bank accounts in order and kind of get some more good credit, and she was waiting a little bit longer to try and take care of that. So sometimes waiting a little bit and making sure you kind of get your credit in a good spot is a good idea. I need to stop this video because it doesn't like